the perfectionism also tries to seep its way into how I start videos, and then all my videos start off kind of not great. Okay? If you struggle with perfectionism, something I will not be bringing into this new year, well, will try not to bring into this new year, is perfectionism. It has been ruining my life, and I have not even been acknowledging it because it's so intertwined with everything. If you feel the same way, I'm going to try to help you out, give you some tips that I have learned so far. Maybe there'll be something that you haven't learned yet, and it will help you get further in your approach to stop being a perfectionist. Because guess what? It's not actually really helping anything. I thought being a perfectionist was a good thing. When people would say oh, you're such a perfectionist, or somebody else would say, oh, I'm a perfectionist, I'd be like, well, it's a good thing, you care. Okay, well, sure, it's good to care, but I'm gonna try not to say too much in this video. So I totally thought that being a perfectionist was something to brag about, something to be proud of. At least, I thought it wasn't a great thing. At least you're trying, right? But no, I mean, it kind of ruined my life in many aspects, and I thought that everything had to be perfect, and if it wasn't perfect, then it wasn't good enough. And it kind of got me into this cycle, especially with having a parent that they were a perfectionist themselves, and how are they supposed to know how to teach you not to be a perfectionist if they literally are, and they think that's the way that things should be, the way you should be. And so I learned that, and so as soon as I got out of the direct situation of constantly being told, oh, you need to do better at this, then I went and told myself that same thing, because I'm okay, well, now I'm missing this person to tell me that I need to be perfect, and so now I need to expect that from myself. And so I really started to suck the joy out of things, because I was thinking that everything had to be so perfect all the time. And if I had accomplished something, but it wasn't to my standards, or it wasn't as good as I thought it would be, I would think that I didn't do a good enough job. Or I would think, oh, I should have already done this, so I can't really be that excited about this accomplishment because it was already what was expected of me. Which is exactly what was told to me when I was a kid. Well, you were already supposed to do that, so whatever. It's not that big an accomplishment because you were supposed to do that. That was what was expected of you. That's the bare minimum. And so I never really was super excited about things that I accomplished, because I'm most of them are things that I should have done anyway. And this leads me into the next thing. It stopped me from doing things at all. It stopped me from following through with things. It stopped me from even trying things to begin with. It stopped me from doing things at all. Every time I would go to try something, I would be thinking, well, I haven't done this before, so I can't do this perfectly. And then I would think, okay, so then I must need to do more things so I can be more ready to do this thing. And then it would put me into this toxic cycle of trying to give myself ways to improve. So I always like to use the example of thinking, oh, well, I should read this book before I do this, or I should watch these videos of other people saying how they did it before I do it. I should be great at this when I start, because I don't want to start not 100% sure what I'm doing, because what if I fail? And so I wouldn't start at all. So perfectionism would stop me from even starting on things, or it would hold me off, and then that would be my excuse on why I wasn't doing it. Or I would say, well, I don't really want to do this, or I'm not doing as well as I would like at this, so if I just don't try too hard, then I won't have failed, and if I don't put all my effort in, I can't really fail. And that's the perfectionism talking when I couldn't control it in any other way. I had to do something, but I didn't think I was going to do a good job, or didn't feel like putting the effort into doing a good job. So the perfectionism would say, okay, well, if I don't try, then it's not saying that I'm bad at something. Or maybe I would say I'm bad at something and just not try, and say, you know what, I don't have to be a perfectionist about this because I just can't do it. And taking any easy way out to not have to be accountable for things. So then that became a pattern, and that became something that I was constantly fighting. And I feel like that became such a pattern that In therapy, when I was talking about this, I had realized that I feel like I didn't really make any big accomplishments, like, at all. I mean, I'm sure I did. I just didn't acknowledge them, but even then, like, I still think that everything I did, I took the easy approach. So if I did well in something, it was because I was automatically good at it anyway. Like in school, I did fine without trying too hard, and so I said, well, I'm not gonna try then. If I don't have to try too hard, like, I'll still pass and it'll be whatever. Like, I don't care about this. But having to look at my past and say, wow, like, I really didn't achieve that many things that, like, really made me feel proud. Because I went all this time not putting effort in because I was afraid that it wouldn't work and I would have put that effort in and it would have been for nothing. So if you notice behaviors like this in you, definitely something to even just being aware of it is better than nothing. But aside from this, always expecting too much out of myself, I would then also expect too much out of other people, even when I wasn't even doing what I wanted to be doing, what I thought would be perfection. I wasn't even doing that, but then I would expect that same thing from other people. And other people are different, and you're always gonna have like your different things that you do that may be not looked at as a great thing from others, but nobody's ever gonna agree on everything. And I like to think of that SpongeBob episode where he's normal and he's like perfect and polished. Like, if everybody was like that, it would be so boring. And if you're waiting to do things until you're perfect at it, or you're expecting everything you do to be perfect, you're not really going to end up accomplishing anything or doing anything. Like, I hadn't, because I was like, well, it's not going to be perfect, so why do it? No, I just watched a TikTok recently about a girl who was talking about this rejection challenge that she did, or was doing, that was 1,000 rejections, and so you go out and you try to get rejected, sort of. It's more to just get you out of your comfort zone and not fear rejection so much, and put yourself into places where you can get opportunities. And if it's a no, then it's just one you add to the rejection list and you got another rejection, so you're closer to the 1,000. So, but then you also accomplish more things because you're doing them. And this is like a great example to think about when you think that you're not doing something because it's not perfect, or you're not putting it out yet because it's not perfect. It's really only holding you back. And the thing I always hear with people who are successful, they didn't wait till they felt ready to do something, they just did it. And it's easy to look at other people's lives and think that they must have just done it perfectly, but really they just did it. And if you look deeper into it, it's not perfect like you thought it would be. So it's much easier to think that that's what you should do when that's what you make up in your head. And so that's another one that I wanted to talk about, was thinking other people are perfect, other people's lives are perfect. This happens very often on social media. I see so many people saying, like, this person's successful, so they must have no problems. Or this person's famous, so they must have not a single problem. Or they're not allowed to be upset because they're rich or something. I think that's kind of ridiculous to say just because somebody has some sort of achievement that must mean that they're perfect. And that's really just people's jealousy getting in the way when they start talking about that and thinking that, like, if they had that, things would just be perfect. And yes, that's where like the idolizing comes in, and people get so obsessed with these ideals that they imagine up that these people have, whether it's like the popular kids at your school, or like celebrities, or other successful people. When I started thinking that I can have this type of thing too, I can be successful, I can achieve my goals, finally there was some sort of separation that happened where I was like, oh, these people aren't so perfect and like far out from me. Really only a lot of the differences, or the only difference is between me, somebody who has these goals but hasn't achieved them, and them who have achieved them. They just did it. And are they doing it perfectly? No, there's not a single person on this planet that is perfect or doing everything perfectly. It's like not possible. Because a great analogy of this is I don't know exactly how that quote goes, but it's something like, you could have the perfect, ripest, juiciest peach ever, but still somebody's gonna hate peaches. So even if something's perfect to somebody or a group of people, and they're like, wow, this is perfect, somebody else is gonna be like, no, I don't. I like less ripe peaches, or I'm allergic to peaches, or I hate peaches, or I've had better. Everybody has a different view of life, and if you sit around waiting to be perfect to do something, or thinking other people are perfect because they have something, it just separates it from you further. Also, something else I noticed being afraid to admit about being afraid of something in general. I guess this one kind of mixes in with my OCD a little bit. When I hear certain things like spiritual stuff, like you're manifesting certain things by thinking it or something, so the perfectionism would really come into this as well and be like, oh, but if you admit that you're afraid of something, or if you vocalize the things that you worry about, you're gonna manifest them into your life. And I also read something in a book, I believe it's called Unsinkable, and she said, sure, you manifest your reality, but do you think it would be worse to go in a fit of anger and yell all of the things you're mad about out loud, or furiously write them down on a piece of paper, or internalize them, keep them bottled up, and have that nagging at you for a long time because you never let it go? Sometimes if you just write something out, or if you just say it out loud, you're then able to you're acknowledging it. It's like anxiety. If you ignore anxiety, it's going to keep nagging at you until it gets acknowledged. But if you do acknowledge it, especially right away, it goes away. So when you have certain thoughts like that, things that you're afraid of, if you have the same problem as me and think this way, it's always better to just vocalize whatever that is, or write it out. Because I always thought writing it out or saying it is gonna really put it out there. Okay, well, how is that gonna help to keep it locked in there? Because so many things I have worried about, I was also just journaling about this before I started making this video, and I realized every single worst case scenario that I thought up, I don't think a single one ever happened. And if something went wrong, went the way that I was worrying about, it was very easy to deal with compared to what I was thinking. So we waste so much time thinking about, what if this isn't perfect? Or what if I don't deal with this perfectly? Or what if I don't come across as perfect? Whatever thing like that you're thinking, or all of them, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters is that you acknowledge these things and are able to move on from them. If you're making the excuse of, oh, I need to wait till I'm perfect, or I have all this great knowledge and I'm good to go, or I wait till I'm ready to do something, to achieve a goal, or to start a goal, maybe ask yourself, instead of keeping these things in the way, why am I doing this? What am I afraid of that's allowing me to build up excuses rather than just jumping in and starting? And maybe it's just a pattern. You do it all the time, so you think that that's the way things should go. But those patterns need to be broken, otherwise you're never going to be able to enjoy life. Because even if there's no goal that you're trying to achieve, simply the enjoyment of life is much harder to attain when you have that perfectionism mindset, when all you think about is how this needs to be perfect. Because also, let me ask you, when that perfectionism mindset kicks in, is it something you're like, yay, this is gonna be helpful? And don't confuse perfectionism as productivity or the flow state. It's not funny, that's literally what I think. See, I'm literally doing right here. My problem in my videos is I feel like I have to laugh something off, because I'm like, oh, what if somebody doesn't agree with what I say? Who cares? Because if I don't post something or don't say something because I thought somebody else was going to disagree, then the person who was going to agree with me, or the person who maybe was going to hear some word I said and like something was going to click for them, they wouldn't be able to hear that. They wouldn't be able to have that epiphany because I was afraid that somebody else was going to say, oh, that's stupid. Everybody, like, we're all going to think that sometimes, either way, like, either side of it. We're going to listen to somebody's video and be like, or something somebody says and be like, that's stupid. I don't agree with that. Or you're going to listen to somebody's video and be like, wow, it really spoke to me. So I'm trying to learn to just say things and stop trying to like add a disclaimer or something, because I was really doing that a lot in the beginning when I was making my videos. Sometimes I'm gonna say something and it's gonna be the harsh truth because it's true. And if it's not true to you and it doesn't resonate to you, then that's fine. And I'm sharing because it worked for me, and therefore it could be able to work for somebody else. Anyway, let's see if there's anything left on here that I left out. Oh yes, if I hear anything that I think is good advice and kind of like makes sense to me, especially if it intertwines in with that OCD, it makes it really hard to like make decisions for myself, especially with like how much media we like are constantly taking in, especially if you watch like a lot of TikTok, a lot of YouTube videos like me. I have like been trying to improve through watching all of these types of videos for a really long time, and so therefore I have learned a lot of things from people, and some of them not really helpful, not necessarily true. Not everything that one person says is going to be true for you. Well, it might be true for other people, because I see it as whatever you believe is what's showing up in your reality. So in that case, I don't know, but I've heard so many things like, you shouldn't listen to this kind of music because it lowers your vibration and then it's going to manifest bad things into your life. And my OCD and the perfectionism is going to grasp onto that and be like, oh, we can't do that. We can't have that. Must be perfect. Anything similar. I've heard so many things and I'm like, oh, well, I can't do that because blah, blah, blah. And then when I do it anyway, because I'm like, I enjoy this though. I enjoy this song. Then I'm like, I just have to cut it out. And then I think about it again, and I think about somebody else saying, and my own belief of whatever you believe is what you're going to manifest into your life. So if I'm sitting here believing that and still doing that, but then also harboring this thought that, oh, this person must be right, so I must be doing something wrong every time I listen to a song that says anything even remotely negative, or is a song that could be on the list of something that is maybe negative, even though like I don't even understand what they're saying in the song or something. Like, you can also change interpretations to like resonate for you. Like, some songs I've heard and I've been like, oh, I associate this with this, and then somebody else is like, this is like what the song's about, and I'm like, oh, now it kind of ruined it for me. I don't know, man. So also find what you actually believe and be okay with changing your mind, and be okay with not being perfect. You don't have to drain all of the enjoyment out of your life because somebody said something's bad. It's only bad if you think it's bad, or it's bad if it's negatively affecting you in some way. So that was another one that was important for me to acknowledge, and I'm still trying to acknowledge because I still have these certain beliefs that are like flying around in there. Take what other people say with a grain of salt. Even me, I might be telling you some sort of limiting belief that you're like, nope, I don't want that. Take what works for you, leave what doesn't. Be okay with changing your mind. Be okay with making new decisions, new choices, new things that maybe you had realized a while ago like weren't really a fit for you, but you weren't really ready to accept that till now. You don't have to force things before they're ready to happen. When you're ready to do something, when you're ready to make some sort of an epiphany, you're gonna have the epiphany, and like, you're not gonna be able to stop it. But wouldn't you rather like be sure about something before you try to force yourself to do something? Because then you're just kind of fighting with it until you're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this isn't right for me. And this is so much more than just a regular perfectionism video. We're really like going into like all of the areas that it could possibly ever affect, and I don't even know. It just goes so deep. I'm adding a voiceover to this part because I didn't finish saying what I wanted to say, and I cut out a part that I didn't feel like leaving in. But even just knowing that you have it as a problem and have a desire to change that is a great first step, because if you're aware of it, it gets easier to acknowledge when it's happening and put the effort into stopping it. And of course, I myself am still working through it, so I can't tell you how to completely solve it, but I can tell you that the best thing you can do for yourself is decide that you don't have to be perfect all the time, and you're allowed to be a beginner, start new on things, not be perfect, start when you don't even feel ready, give yourself permission to do all that. And yeah, back to the rest of the video. Thinking, wow, I really have ruined my life with perfectionism. And that's like when the whole epiphany happened, and I'm like, I gotta make this is what I'm gonna make a video on. And I'm coming out with a posting schedule that I have been too scared to do because I hadn't been consistent in the past, but I will be consistent this time. So we're going to have a posting schedule. This is going up on the first day of that posting schedule. I'm excited. I'm gonna keep trying to improve my videos, not in a perfectionist way, just in a more authentic way, because the other videos I have been filming feel way too not authentic. And I thought I did like a good job of like switching from that at some point, and maybe I did, but I still feel like they're too formal, and that's not the point. So yeah, so I'll probably announce the posting schedule after I post this. And yeah, so I'll be posting 3 times a week. So if there's any videos you'd like to request, you can leave them below in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have for suggestions on that. If you have any other things you want to add on about this video, like things you experience with perfectionism or ways that you helped improve it in yourself, anything you noticed, like I'd love to hear that too. And please like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to be a part of this community where I talk about all things self-improvement, shifting your mindset, even a more spiritual approach of manifestation, and whatever mindset stuff I feel like speaking on. So thank you for watching this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.